Gamecast. Well, there's GameCube and then there's Dreamcast. What you thought?
Well, I said I got Gamecast, man. Damn, I can't afford it.
Alright. Welcome to Yo Gamecast, where I'm your host, Yo Fizz, and I have with me, that way, Jake, who you saw last week, and this way, we got our third co-host, NBZ. Hello.
Hello, I'm the last piece of the Triforce,
Yes, you are.
as they say. So I'm here to talk about video games with everyone. Of course, I was part of the previous podcast we all did together, the 2.5 Gamers show, which Jake ran back in the day. I actually looked back at it, it was 2012 was when we did the last episode of 2.5 Gamers, so it's been 3 years. It's quite a time.
Yeah.
Feels like not that much time has passed, actually, weirdly enough.
I know, it feels really odd, like, it super does not feel like that was then.
That was the last time I lived alone.
Oh,
man.
That show. Well, actually, the E3 show we did, I was not in my own apartment, but when we actually did the last 2.5 Gamers, was the last time I had my own apartment, and it does not feel like it's been 3 years.
Yeah. It's crazy. Well, do you want to know my favorite episode of that show?
Let's
I don't
dig back.
want to know. I already know. I was there.
July 12th, 2012.
A
A
fateful
month
day.
after my birthday. Let's just make that. Yeah.
What is that really?
Well, yeah, June 13th, but anyway, continue.
Yeah. So, on that fateful day, there was an argument. I'd like to call it an argument.
I think spirited debate is.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
I just call it shitting on nubs.
I mean, I don't think either one of us. We're not mad, but we're like very
Well,
spirited.
Actually, no. You know what? Because when you did your Rise and Fall of Fizzy Stardust series, and I was watching through and like all these memories, of course, and you insert that portion of the podcast into your video,
like a 10-minute log.
It was great. But I'm looking at myself. I'm like, wow, I'm really just getting really jazzed up about this. I'm just going off the handle. Like, I'm not getting my words out properly. I'm just like using all this passion inside of me. I don't know. It feels like I've moved away from that a bit more. I'm a bit more kind of downbeat now. But
I think what it really was is like we kind of bring that out of each other. We're both because I think a lot of times our opinions differ very strongly.
Sure, yeah.
We're talking about the adding in a second circle pad for the XL, and I said that it was ridiculous that they did not do that, and you said they would never.
I said that they would segment their own market, basically. They would eat their own tail, and then they went ahead and did it. So there we go.
And no one's upset.
No, I mean, okay, so in my defense, they didn't actually add a second circle pad. They just took a laptop nub and shoved it on there. So in my defense, technically, let's go technicalities here.
All right.
But yeah,
fair enough. But I think they did it in the best way possible, is in releasing Smash and going like, wouldn't you guys like a C stick?
Yeah.
So I mean, they did it in the best way possible. Jake.
They don't actually really use it in Smash. Like, anybody I know that plays Smash on the 3DS is like, it's just kind of awkward to use with where it's placed.
Yeah.
So most people just ignore it and just play. I mean, but most people kind of moved away from Smash on 3DS anyway, as long as you have a Wii U.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there are obviously other games that they'll put out. Monster Hunter's probably fantastic with the ability to move the camera.
Exactly.
Yeah, really. I mean, the thing with it is it's not there for any like shooting controls or anything. I don't think it does that well. There was actually, I think it was called Ironfall. It's like a 3DS eShop game that they released as a third-person shooter, and it had the thing in mind of using the second stick, but apparently doesn't work that well for a shooter. It's good for camera, but that's about it basically. So.
Have you guys ever used like or played like old first-person shooters on the 3D or the DS or the 3DS?
I think like
No.
Metroid Prime Hunters use the touchscreen, right? If I remember correctly.
Probably.
Yeah.
There was a James Bond game that me and my friends got.
Really?
Yeah, and you could either use the touch screen, which was impossible because you had to like touch screen trigger,
Oh god, that sounds terrible.
or you could use D-pad to move, and then
Mhm.
the other buttons to move the camera,
hmm
which was, you can imagine, very clunky.
Yeah. They've kind of done that solution for Codename Steam on 3DS,
Yeah.
where if you don't have a new 3DS and you don't have the camera stick, you could basically use the face buttons to control the camera, which is basically like the N64 solution, the C buttons on the N64.
Right.
It works okay, but you'd prefer to have that full control. So there you go. There's the saga of our old podcast, I guess. Got to bring back those demons.
Yeah.
So.
It was good times. It was good times.
Yeah,
So,
My legacy lives on.
yeah.
it does.
It's what I pride myself on, is that one time I was right about a Nintendo product. So, is there anything you want to introduce yourself a wee little bit?
I mean,
before we go on?
obviously, like you two fine gentlemen, I was a Pokemon YouTuber back in the day, and having done that for approximately 7 years, and had it take its toll on me, decided I'm not long for this world anymore, so I gave up the ghost on the Pokemons, and I'm now doing stuff on YouTube, which is just whatever the hell I want, really. Like, any games that I'm interested in, I'm just going to cover them, talk about them, have discussions. I do another podcast as well, a Nintendo-based one, so yeah, loads of just talking about video games, really, on the internet.
Yeah, it's called This Nintendo Life. I listen
Yes.
to it every time it comes out, every other week.
Mhm.
And it's it's funny when I listen to it. I like take a walk and I listen to a podcast, or I'm in my car or whatever.
And he's like, God damn it, where's the second circle pack?
more like it's like Zed and Bally will be talking about some Nintendo game that I love from like Super Nintendo or the regular Nintendo, like Zelda for example, and I'll be like, they're fucking wrong.
Yeah, I think Bally is very infamous for his dislike of Super Mario World.
Which is insane to me.
I have
Yeah.
that. It's right over there.
We
Yeah.
all have that in our hearts.
I mean, I think as someone who didn't grow up with it, I think he gets frustrated by a lot of the kind of things that were, of their time.
Right.
Like the live system and, the way that the saving system works and everything. And of course, he's playing on Wii U Virtual Console, so he doesn't really have a right to complain when he has save states anyway.
Yeah.
But, I guess.
I watched you play Mega Man 2 on Virtual Console, and that was the
Yeah.
most cancerous thing I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, Mega Man 2, look.
Jake is a Mega Man purist.
Yeah, I love Mega Man games. I think like 2 and 3 are phenomenal, and I beat 3 earlier this year, 2 last year. But I really want to go back to more of those. I'm not the best at them, but I still enjoy them. Take the challenge, and I managed to beat them eventually. So there you go.
With save states.
With save states, but it's fine. At least I played the game. That's all. that matters,
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what's really important.
Yeah. So.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Mega Man games, Mike, you beat Mega Man X.
Nice
recently.
segue.
And
Let's
I'm
talk
actually-
about games.
Last week we talked about how I found it for $60 and I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I'm picking it up on Thursday for $50. So
Hey. But yeah, I finished Mega Man X. I got the Hadouken, and I used the Hadouken twice.
Nice.
It felt really dirty, but at the
Yeah,
same
but
time,
that-
I was like, "Fuck it, dude! I deserve this." But
that's pretty much most people when they get the Hadouken,
Yeah.
or it's like that's the only thing they do.
yeah,
That was me. The first time I got the Hadouken, I didn't use a single other move. It was Hadouken, and I just won the game.
like I tried it on cause you go, after you beat like all the dudes, you go into like the Sigma levels, and like you refight those bosses again at certain points in the levels. And
Typical Mega Man stuff.
Yeah. And I tried the Hadouken every time, but I'd always miss the first shot, and they would land on me, and I'd be like, "Fuck!" Because you can only use it if you're at full health.
So it's kind of like a sword beam thing in Zelda, where you get the the beam shooting out of your full health, right?
Yeah, that's the catch. So like, it's a one shot, but you have to be at full health. So like,
Right. Gotta play carefully.
I'd oftentimes be outside of like the wall and just like start farming like enemies that kept respawning. I'd be like, come on, I get full health, and I'd get in there and I'd Hadouken. They'd jump over it and land on me. God damn it. But anyways, I used it twice for Sigma and his dog, and then you fight the big robotic like Sigma head thing.
Yep.
Which was hard, but also not hard once you got the hang of it. But I feel like that's Mega Man.
Mega Man in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in Mega Man, when you die, it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to get blindsided by something beforehand. Ego Raptor did a great job of covering this in his sequelitis.
Which is what really got me to play it.
He even went back and touched on it a little bit in the Ocarina sequelitis, talking about how you always see what's coming. And nothing changes. There are patterns, and that's kind of how Mega Man players learned to beat the game. That's how I beat Mega Man as like a 6-year-old kid. It's like you just, okay, this is what happens. I now know the pattern of what the enemy is going to do. I can now capitalize on how to counteract it.
Yeah,
And
it's all like muscle memory and execution, really. And
yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Like today, if you pick up Mega Man, you could probably just jump in and breeze right through it because you have that remembrance. When you played it from when you were so young. So
that's like 20 years ago. So probably not.
maybe I don't know, maybe.
But I mean, some of it comes right back to you though. Like I could pick up Mega Man 2 and be like, oh fucking yeah, I remember all of this, and like you kind of remember like I think it was Mega Man 2, where it was like kind of like the disappearing blocks that.
Oh boy. So funny thing about that is when I first started playing Mega Man 2 and you get to Heatman stage and there's that giant long chasm where you basically, if you don't use the as item 2, which is like the jet that goes across, if you don't use that or you don't have it at that time, you have to memorize that entire sequence. And I didn't know about like using the items or anything, so I just sat there and just like brute forced my way memorizing that sequence. That's a chore.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But after beating Mega Man X, I mean, while I was playing it, I was like, this game's great. But like, I beat it, I felt really good about beating it, and it's easily now one of my favorite games of all time. Like, it just clicked like that for me. I love it, and I know that you're planning on playing it later, and I'm sure you'll love it.
Yeah.
It captures like the NES versions of Mega Man, but it's a little bit more forgiving. I feel like.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the engine and
yeah.
When you go from NES to SNES, there's more you can do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have a few Club Nintendo points left, and on the European store, for some goddamn reason which I don't understand, they still sell Wii and DSi points cards. Like, they haven't upgraded it to eShop, they still sell fucking Wii and DSiware, which is kind of ridiculous, but it kind of works in my favor here, because I could go ahead and buy a Wii points card, get the version of Mega Man X on Wii Virtual Console, and then pay like 60p or whatever to upgrade it to the Wii U version. So I could get it pretty cheaply if I wanted to, and I probably will do that later on.
I 100% recommend that you do that. It's such a great game. I adore it so much.
I'm just gonna have it on Super Nintendo because I'm a purist.
Yeah, well, there you go. On your CRT with your lagless.
Yeah.
Actually, if I'm gonna, I don't have a CRT at the moment, but when I buy one, I'm gonna get one of those.
You're not a purist. Come on, man. Come on.
When the reason I don't have one is like there's a CRT in my living room, but if I'm going to get one, I want to go all out, and I'll get one of the old like hospital monitors, which are absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they're also like as expensive as a brand new like flat screen, so it's kind of save up time.
Yeah.
Well,
I do have a CRT, and like let's be honest, Craigslist has free CRTs like
all the
by
time.
the dozens.
Yeah.
So it's not, if I really wanted one, I could get one. I just don't really have anywhere to put it at the moment.
Yeah,
I really want to have a CRT back in the house again. We just sold our really big one, and the last game I played on it was Prince of Persia on GameCube. And like trying to play that on an HD TV, it looks so muddy and horrible. And there's something about playing those games on the systems they were meant to be played on.
Well, the thing with when you put it on HD TV, it doesn't scale. It just
Yeah,
uses the
stretches.
resolution on your TV, so it's gonna look like shit.
Yeah.
And like even playing like Project M or Brawl or Melee for that matter on a flat screen, you can just tell there is a delay. It's not as fluid as it was on the CRT.
I mean, even as someone like me who plays Smash casually, it's very noticeable. Really, really is. And so, playing Melee now is kind of something that I don't do as much because we don't have a CRT in the house, so it doesn't feel as good playing it, on one that isn't a CRT. So.
Yeah, I recently got Project M, and like, I was going for a walk one night, and I found a skateboard, and I was like, I'm fucking gonna take the skateboard. And then like a block later was the CRT TV. It was all, I could fucking use this. And then I started thinking logistically, because it was like a big one too.
So you put it on the skateboard and you roll it home.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I literally have no place to put it. So I was like, fuck it. Like, if I really want one, like you said, I can get a free one pretty much any day of the week.
There's one thing. There's a... I don't really know what to describe. It's like basically like a thrift store for like old electronics. It's a non-profit organization, and basically you go in, you can drop off all your stuff. And they have a N64, like the... Remember, like in I don't know if they had this in the UK, but I know Mike should probably remember this. If you went to McDonald's, they had the N64s set up. They would do it at like Blockbuster and stuff too.
So here's my thing,
and I want to convince them to sell it to me.
So the thing was, okay, so the N64 they had was actually at a Burger King for me, not a McDonald's. At that time, I didn't own an N64. But I was obviously really into Pokemon back then, and I really fucking wanted Pokemon Stadium. So every time we went there, Pokemon Stadium was the game on that N64. I would just like stand in line while my parents went and shopped or whatever, and just like stand there for hours and hours playing Pokemon Stadium, because it was the only opportunity that I had to play it at that time. And
there was
good memories
a McDonald's by my house. This was way back in elementary school when the GameCube was new, and they had 4. There was Pikmin, there was Super Mario Sunshine, there was Luigi's Mansion, and I don't know what the last one was. It was probably like the fucking jet ski racing shit.
Wave Race.
Yeah, there it is.
That, but like no one used that one anyway, so who cares?
Doesn't even count as a game.
Yeah, like all the time, because that McDonald's was a block away from me. I think I went there and played like Luigi's Mansion and Mario Sunshine more than I would actually go to like eat. You just like
basically
sit down and
the game while you were there.
Yeah, exactly. Pikmin was the most fun for me at that one.
My favorite thing is our Blockbuster had one of those, and it was like for around the time when Pokemon Snap was out, and you could go in and like I think you could like bring in your cartridge and like put it in, and then like print out like the photos some of the photos you've taken. Like it was crazy cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We never had anything like that.
Oh, disappearing. Great, good job, Skype.
Come on, Skype, get it together.
Well, I mean, we are using. Am I like? I still see my webcam. Do I need to like reset it?
It's refreshing now.
Yeah. You guys are both refreshing for me.
Well, you guys are refreshing for me as well.
I'm just gonna...
But yeah, there's been a few times when I found cabinets, whether it's like the old N64 ones or even I think the coolest one I've seen was I saw a Turtles in Time cabinet.
Hey!
Oh wow!
It was well out of my price range, but holy crap, would I want that? If I ever had it's actually sad. If I had a cabinet, I have a space for it. It's just a matter of actually finding one for a good price. But yeah, like I said, I want to convince these guys to sell me their N64 one. Even if it's just there for display, I just think that'd be freaking sweet.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Annoying. There we go. Well, I see Zed, and I see me.
Oh, I see you now. There we go.
I see everyone. Also, as I mentioned before, I moved my monitor forward so my webcam is a bit closer, and it's sitting on my mouse cord. It's really hard to move my mouse to click the accept this call button when you have like this much cord to work with. Thank God I have super sensitive mouse and can actually do a lot with it.
There you go. All right. You know what, you guys?
What?
Did any of you guys play any other games? Jake, did you play any games this week?
Look, man, I worked 6 days straight. Besides playing my boss in Super Smash Brothers, like 2 days, I haven't touched anything. And it's like today, my roommate woke me up a little bit early, which is fine. And
I noticed you were up early.
Yeah, well, shit happens.
Yeah.
How's your Smash game been going then lately? You were talking a little bit about custom moves and some shindigs happening with those.
Well, the thing with Smash right now is, at least in Smash 4, there is no real unified rule set. I've seen a lot of European tournaments use like 3 stock. We use 2 stocks. Half our tournaments allow customs, half of them don't, and it's mostly because Evo is having customs. So
Right,
hopefully
yeah.
after Evo, one way or another, we're gonna get these are the rules. Just fucking deal with it. Personally, for me, all the characters I play, except for one of Sonic's side Bs, like just default moves are the best for me. But there are plenty of characters that are ridiculous with customs. Palutena actually becomes usable, and
Oh, really?
if you watch Shofu at all, you've seen the Donkey Kong up B. But the Avatar Dong is hilarious.
So I haven't seen the up B from Donkey Kong. Does it change with the custom?
Yes, so like the actual moves themselves don't generally change. Palutena is one that does. They just add different properties to them. So Donkey Kong's has a wind box that sucks you in and then will shoot you out randomly.
Oh,
and,
jeez.
And it's just you just spam it. And
Holy shit.
His down B, when he slaps the ground, fire comes out. His neutral
sick.
B, the monkey punch has a wind box to it, so the more you charge it up, the more of a cyclone you get. And
Wow.
his side B,
Those sound awesome.
yeah, they're actually hilarious.
Yeah.
But the character is just pure jank, and
Yeah.
it's just like really annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of why a lot of people don't like customs because there's just all this really random crap that happens. But the other thing is, for the first time, we actually have like balance patching in Smash with Smash 4, and aside from one of Sonic's side Bs, I don't think any customs got touched in the patch. And if they're not going to tweak any of them, they really create a problem with balancing. So that's one thing a lot of people have issues with.
Yeah, we do some sort of competitive play. There really needs to be some sort of like standard and uniformity.
I mean, to be fair, we never even had balance patches before Smash 4
Yeah.
came out. So, like, can we really complain?
Sure, you can complain about anything.
It's true, but do we have a right to?
Yeah.
Well, while I haven't played much, actually this afternoon after the show, I'm going to meet up with a guy. As I mentioned, I'm going to be picking up Mega Man X later in the week for $50. And today I am also picking up Contra 3 and Super Metroid.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
Super
Very good.
Paying
Super Metroid's on the
$120.
list. .text.
Yeah, absolutely.
Notepad.
No, the funny thing about the list is that you just put the Metroid franchise.
Yeah.
Just everything. Fucking doesn't matter. All the Metroids.
Yes, seriously.
I'm actually super stoked. I'm paying $120 for the 2 of them. Originally, I tried to ask for $100 because the guy lives away. Especially for me taking like public transit, it would be my entire day to go meet him. So I'm like, can you do it for cheaper? And he's like, I've had a few offers for $100. I'm hoping for $120. I was like, look, man, if you deliver it to me, I'll give you $120. So this afternoon, I'm meeting up with him, and
Nice.
I'm
So
pretty
how
stoked.
deep are you into the collecting aspect of just old Super Nintendo games? Are you just like trying to go after a lot of them, or just the ones that kind of personally mean something to you?
Everything, and it's not just Super Nintendo. I would like to build a collection of NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis. Like I want to build a collection because the hope is when I get my own place. I was talking down the road when it's not just an apartment; it's more of a house. I want to have a dedicated gaming room because at some point I'm going to have a family and kids, and I would like to show off all the things that I grew up with, or even some of the things that I didn't, that I just loved. And I mean, everyone's got a hobby. Some people collect stamps. I collect old video games. And mine is fortunately more expensive, especially in this day and age. I mean,
there are loads of collectors these days. It's a very crowded market.
It's a crowded market, but like a few years ago, it was the NES kind of era where those games jacked up in price. Super Nintendo's the same. And actually right now I think GameCube's the next one on the list because, I mean, obviously Super Smash Bros. Melee, for whatever reason, is labeled as like a $60 game because it's just one everyone wants. But resellers have such ridiculous prices. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she does a lot of swap meets. I'm like, hey, have you come across any like game stuff? Maybe I'll come with you one time. And she saw Mario Kart Double Dash for $75.
Dang, man.
Wow.
I'm like, first of all, the game is not worth $75. But I have been noticing a trend where GameCube games, the prices where not too long ago were pretty cheap. Like even the quote-unquote rare games, and there aren't a ton of them on the GameCube, but those uncommon games were like $40 kind of tops. I have Tales of Symphonia sitting here that I got in a garage sale lot with like 20 other games, and I paid like $20 for it. And that game is slowly going up in its pricing and its value.
I've been eyeing Tales of Symphonia for a while. I generally frequent like a secondhand game store when I go down to London, and I'm always on the lookout for GameCube stuff. They don't have much, but for the longest time I was looking for Fire Emblem Path of Radiance.
See, that
game is ridiculous.
It's amazing. That game is one I'm okay with paying a decent, like, it's the retail price here. When the store that I frequent has it, they sell it for about $60-$70 depending on the condition.
So
I'm
that's
fine
decent.
with that. It's an uncommon game. It is not one that was mass produced. Ironically, the rarest game on the GameCube is a sports title, and it's the only console that has this fact. And it's actually, I believe it's ESPN College Basketball 2003.
What the fuck?
And the
Who
reason
wants
for
that
this,
game?
it was only on the shelves for 2 weeks. I
Why?
believe there was actually
Jesus.
it just didn't sell. One of those things
so
where,
fuck it.
yeah, basically, they were fighting with like 2K and EA Sports, and basically
right.
just on the GameCube, they're like, you know what, screw this, let's take it off the shelves. So this is a game that I think right now is like $200. And it is the quote unquote rarest game, and in fact, numbers wise, it probably is. But obviously, you're going to have games like Fire Emblem or I guess Double Dash for $75. But
I mean, Fire Emblem. So the copy that I was eyeing for a long time, but I'm never going to buy it. It's £255 on Amazon.
Jesus Christ.
255.
Ugh.
And I've checked
Wow.
eBay before, and I can't find a copy of Path of Radiance that is below
Now-
150. Like, it's
here's the-
stupid.
it's possible. I mean, eBay. The problem with eBay pricing is people are going to put whatever they want on it. So generally speaking, for me, I will avoid eBay pricing unless I'm paying retail. So there are a number of retail stores in the Vancouver area for retro gaming. And the one I frequent, I find, has the best prices. Apparently there's a new one that I need to check out. But for the most part, they do eBay prices at best. And unfortunately, there are games that aren't necessarily rare, but it's just the community demand for them, so the price gets jacked up.
Yeah.
And the question I have for you is the one that's $250. Is this still like sealed, or is this just a copy with the case?
I need to check it again, but this is an Amazon seller, so I'm not sure the differences between Amazon and eBay. Second
Not
hand.
that much.
It's basically eBay has.
Holy shit! Okay, so it's now $299.99.
Can you
in
link
box?
this to me?
Yeah, I'll link it to you. You can have
Well,
a
the
look
thing with
at it.
GameCube games, Mike, is for the most part, they're always going to be in box. It's very rare for me, at least, to find a loose GameCube game. So whenever I see a price on it, I just assume that it comes with a box.
And I mean, the same thing's happened with Radiant Dawn. Like a couple of years ago, I could have, bitten on Radiant Dawn for when it was about £30. It's now up to like 75, and I don't see a way of that going down anytime soon. And I'm hoping because
Maybe
Nintendo
you
has
don't
so
need
many
to move
Wii
to
games.
America or
From
Canada.
the looks of this is still like sealed in the packaging. It says,
Wow.
this is just based off what I can tell, because it does say it's new. And if it's not still wrapped, there's no way this game should be £300. Because what's that,
Right.
like $400?
It's
roughly.
450, if not higher. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a high price point. In plastic, $300 for Path of Radiance is not ungodly unprecedented.
Yeah,
I would pay that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying with GameCube, it's not like a Super Nintendo game or a NES game or the older consoles where if you find a game loose, it's not that uncommon. Most of my collection is loose. Chrono Trigger I bought for $100, and the box is another $100, like just to buy the box. If you find it in a good condition, it's really expensive. And unfortunately, the older you get, that's just the way the market works, especially on a high demand or a rare game.
And that's really what's happening.
Go back in the day. For me, I don't know about you two. I didn't keep all my boxes. I had the little pull-out tray for all my NES games that you just stacked in, so they were nice.
We kept the plastic like slip-on.
Yeah, the sleeves.
Yeah.
Most people had that. The only ones that I kept most of my cases for were the Sega Genesis because they were the easiest ones to store. It was you flip it open and you stick it in kind of like a VHS almost, or very similar to the way current games are done. It wasn't like a cardboard pull-out box with your little cardboard inserts that you put your cartridge in. It was a pain in the ass to get them in and out of those things.
We had
all those
one of those.
boxes back in the day.
We had one of those things that you would go rent like Super Nintendo games in, like the plastic book thing, and then we took everything out, and that's where we kept all our manuals, and then we kept the sleeves, and then that was it. Like fuck boxes. Who needs boxes?
Yeah, which
apparently I do
a
now.
collector.
20 years later.
To be fair,
That's
there
the thing,
are.
until.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, just until like the GameCube and I mean even PS1 generation, but they were all just cardboard. They were very disposable and they wouldn't last over a long period of time. Like what happens in a flood, that's done. It's gone, for example. So it makes sense that a lot of GameCube games are coming in box. Because they.
Well, the thing is, there are these little discs too. They would be very easy to lose, and they would be tough to store. It's not even like a PS1 or the normal, typical DVD size disc where you could put them in your little flip through cases, unless you had like a Dreamcast because all your games were pirated anyway.
And they get damaged really easily too. Like cartridges hold up over time. They can kind of be out of box and not suffer too much damage, but a disc gets scratched all over the place. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, the other thing is, if any of us really thought to ourselves, hey, maybe this would be worth money someday, because, I mean, back in the day, if you were a gamer, it was kind of a negative stigma to it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just the way it was. People threw out their boxes, and if you find them now, like, if you find a rare game complete in box, price just gets jacked up. And sometimes it's more than double, and it's not unfair to say. Like Link to the Past. If you find a Link to the Past with the box and the manual and the map, you're probably paying 3 times at least what it's worth just loose, which is fine with me. But I mean as a collector, all that stuff, you really deserve if I want something in a box. I wish I had kept a lot of that stuff. Honestly, the biggest thing that I lost was my Sega Genesis collection, which was just because my mom threw it out. Because, like I said, that was the console that I kept all of the cases for because it was just easy.
My buddy has like a really big Sega collection. I wonder if he still has it.
I am actually, like, the weird thing is, I don't know if, like, Genesis kind of followed the same trends as Nintendo did in terms of collector pricing. Because for the most part, you can
but
find
don't you want
games...
like Mutant Blood Football or whatever it was called?
Well, no, like it's I still want them.
Yeah.
Like I obviously do, but they didn't follow the SNES trend where a Sonic game is $30. Like Super Mario World is apparently a $20 game loose, which is just baffles me. Like that's a game you should be able to find at a flea market for like $2. Like that. I
bought one for like $5 when I was really looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, unfortunately, those first-party Nintendo games, the price got marked up on them.
Yeah.
But in all of my experience with Sega, the prices didn't follow those trends. So I'm hoping that I can get in on this before, if it's going to happen, it does happen.
Right.
Because there were a lot of games on the Sega Genesis that I loved growing up. The Shining Force franchise, which was my gateway drug into Fire Emblem. Because obviously they weren't here in North America unless you had a Japanese version of the game. until the Game Boy Advance. So.
Yeah, I feel like it has a lot to do with nostalgia as well, and the number of people who played those games. So, of course, the Sega Genesis not being as popular in the US is not going to have as many people wanting to go back and dive in, whereas the Super Nintendo, of course, is going to be a much more competitive market. And, this is just going to continue to happen. As people get older, they have disposable income, and they remember the, games from when they were younger, and obviously, that GameCube generation is now kind of getting into that age where they're making money, and they can go out and splash out and buy games. So,
the other big issue
that's coming up.
The other big issue is because people are starting to realize there's money there. The biggest problem we have in BC is resellers, people who will find a good deal, snatch it up, and then put it for retail price or higher, thinking like, look, I paid $20 for this game, I'm going to sell it for $40 because that's logic. And unfortunately, that's especially here in Canada, pricing is just really bad. I'm hoping to at some point, whether it's this
Move
year
to the cat room.
No, I'm not gonna. But I do plan on hopefully like doing a road trip down to California and like stopping in on like every flea market, a bunch of thrift shops, just like retro game stores that I pass along the way, see what I can pick up, visit the cat room, see if it's worth my time, and then just kind of go back.
It's a decent sized room, and there's no cats in it anymore. I think that's the really strong selling point. For those of you who don't know, I have this room that was dedicated to cats in my mom's house, and I offered it to Jake and Nick and probably some other people along the way, and no one took the cat room, and then they all regretted it.
I mean, I didn't really regret it.
You regret it.
The only reason that I didn't regret it is, and it's the only reason that I didn't take the offer in the first place, is if I moved down to California, I'm just stuck in California. It's not like I can get a job or anything like that. There were legitimate reasons for me to not take the cat room.
Yeah, whatever.
Plus, your internet was horrible at that point.
It was, you're right.
It was dial-up, basically.
It did not get better until my brother moved into the cat room. So yeah, I played a thing over this last couple days.
What thing did you play?
I hosted a show, and it was called the Where the Fuck Is This Plugged In show, starring me, your host, Yo Fizz. My brother is moving out, and he put me in charge of his electronics, which included Xbox One and Xbox 360, his stereo equipment and surround sound, his TV.
He has the Star Wars version of the 360, right?
No, that's me.
Oh, okay.
That's mine. He had the black one. But
sucks.
But I so I was unhooking it, and then like I didn't realize how just fucking awful unhooking everything was. So I was like pulling on a cord, and I was like, okay, this is stuck. Where the fuck is this plugged in? Where is this plugged in? And I was like, I ended up actually like going insane and talking to myself and like hosting the show. But it's like, where is this plugged in? With our special guest, the left-right corner speaker. And my nephew like walked in, he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, Quentin, everything in this world is awful and I hate myself. Baggage. But yeah.
I'll let you finish.
No, because the other one's going to be very long, so go ahead.
Okay, I did play something this week.
Oh, lay it on me.
It was like 30 minutes, so it wasn't much. But for anybody who knows who JP or Sam Strippin are, they might be aware that they got married recently in Final Fantasy XIV. And it is one of the single greatest videos I've ever seen on the internet. And I thought to myself while watching this, I tried Final Fantasy XIV ages ago. Like, I was in the original beta before they redid the entire game. Right, and I was in the beta before A Realm Reborn came out. I didn't think too much of it. I'm just like, you know what? Let's try this. Just basically because they have this ridiculous wedding sequence, which was just amazing. Yeah. So I'm like, screw it. Let me try it, because I know that you can play for like the first 20 levels for free within 2 weeks. It's actually a lot better than I remembered it being, and it might be something that I would look into. Like, I don't know. I know Mike and I are going to be doing some Star Wars: The Old Republic at some point, so if I really have an MMO fix, it might just be that. Yeah. But I can
I
see
think
why
our
a lot
buddy's
of
gonna
people.
jump in on that too, though.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's gonna be
But
great.
I think I played Terra for a bit.
Yeah, I'm actually, the funny thing, Terra, I started quite recently. Me and Nagi decided we're going to jump in and try a bit of Terra. We're about level 17-ish right now. And man, that game is so pretty. It's really gorgeous.
Oh,
it's
it's gorgeous.
so nice to look at. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like it's doing anything too drastically different from your standard MMO in terms of questing and everything. But the combat system's really neat. And it's kind of the thing where it maps really nicely to a controller. So he's playing with his PS4 controller. I'm still playing keyboard and mouse because I feel like that's kind of the natural way to play an MMO. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
At Final Fantasy, you can actually play with a controller. Well, obviously because it's on consoles too.
Right, it's
but,
PS4, so
PS4 and PS3.
yeah. But,
And no, Terra.
So, yeah,
the
but-
combat kept me interested in Terra.
Yeah.
They also had some really cool design mechanics. Their political system is actually really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very deep into it, so I haven't seen much of that stuff. But my graphics card crapped out recently, so I'm waiting on a new one coming in, and then I'm probably going to jump back in and do a bit more Terra. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. The thing with MMOs is I never stuck with anything I tried for too long because I didn't have many people to play with. You really have to have, it's a camaraderie thing. You have to have someone who you can, kind of go along and level, and someone who's not going to go off on their own time and, get super high level and then you're behind them.
That's exactly like my MMO experience in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Except, not recently, but I had a really bad experience with my friend. We played Guild Wars 2, or maybe it was the first one. Yeah, it was the first one actually. And we would play together for a couple hours a night. We didn't get super into it because I had to do stuff all the time, in the morning, and I'd be like, all right, I'm done. It's 3 in the morning. I gotta call it a night. And then he would keep going without me, and then we would play, or he'd go dude, do you want to play? And I wouldn't be able to, and he would just do it. And then I came back I'm level 8 and he's level 20, and he's like, dude, I gotta do a quest, and I would go with him and I would get destroyed, and then he would just keep going, this is not fun, and then I just stopped playing with him, and since then it's been really hard for me to get an MMO.
The big thing with MMOs is, for the most part, the Old Republic and even to an extent World of Warcraft are kind of. I haven't played much of Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy. Terra is honestly the questing is standard, but it's nothing great.
Yeah.
But Warlords of Draenor, for example, was fantastic for me to play through. My friends ended up getting it a week before me, and so I was well behind by the time I actually got into it. They had already hit max level and started gearing up. I had no problem playing that game alone. But I've also come from a big background of MMOs where I also know that the game doesn't really start for the most part until you hit max level and you start to do the raids and all the end game content.
And don't they give you a free level 90 or something when you jump back into the new WoW expansions and stuff? They just tend to give you a fully level character, so
it's not fully level. It levels you up into where that game's content starts, and it's okay, now you get to take over.
Right,
that's cool.
My buddies, a couple of my friends did that. I already had a level 90 because I kind of go in and out of World of Warcraft a lot, basically.
Nerd alert.
Yeah, I am. Hey. When a new expansion comes out, much like a huge portion of the community, we'll try it out, or any major content updates. But for me, especially with World of Warcraft, when all of my friends kind of lost interest, I stopped playing because, there's looking for raid and all of these kind of more casual setups. It just didn't entice me the way that it used to. The Old Republic was similar. I mentioned this to you, I believe last night. When that game came out, I played the crap out of it. I was the number one mercenary on my server.
Wow.
I was the best healer in my world, and unfortunately, the problem was there was no end-game content. So when I hit that point, I had nothing really to work towards. I got to play with Jesse Cox. That was about it. Was.
Yeah, I remember
reading
beating it
news
super
stories.
quickly, and I was just oh, okay. And then then I stopped too. But like,
Because people were saying that the end game basically just fell off a cliff, and then their subscriber numbers took a nosedive because of that.
Well, that was the big reason that the Old Republic ended up going free to play was
Yeah.
they didn't expect people to level as fast as they did. The problem was that is the single best leveling experience I've ever had in MMO. That was Knights of the Old Republic with multiple people. And then you hit the end game and it's like, ah, crap, now what?
I'm super excited to jump back in that game.
I don't know why I'm excited, but I am excited.
I'll
Knowing
give it a
me,
download. See.
I might have to make a character before this starts because I'm probably going to spend a lot of time in that character creation screen.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait. I'll go with whatever alignment that MBZ wants to go with, and then I'll just I'll go accordingly after that. We'll get some stuff done.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So, games we played. I played another thing, and I know MBZ did as well.
Mm-hmm.
We both played Splatoon.
Yeah, we did.
Jake refused to play because he's a party.
Really?
member.
Why?
It doesn't interest me whatsoever.
Fair enough, but I think the thing is, you don't know until you try it, right? So.
Sure.
Well, like I don't know, looking at that game.
Gamecast? Well, there's GameCube and then there's Dreamcast. What you thought?
Well, I said I got Gamecast, man. Damn, I can't afford it.
Here's what
Jake
happened.
just basically, audio died, and I was like, what's happening? What? I can't hear anything.
Oh.
But Fizz, you looked like you were like reacting to what he was saying. So
No!
I was like, have I just been cut out of the conversation?
No.
I saw Mike try and talk, and then the Skype call ended. All I said was, like, I know the Smash community is really looking forward to Splatoon. It's just a game that I know I'm not hyped for, so I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, were you available during any of the times that
He
was?
was. I told him
you
to
have
hop
no
on
excuse then.
when you and I were playing.
Yeah. You should have done that. I mean, that's the thing. Like, sure, you can kind of look at it from the outside and say, yeah, it's just nothing I'm interested in, but I feel like you can't aptly judge it until you try it for yourself. I mean, once you tried it, then you can say, yeah, sure, it's not my thing, but at least give it a go, Especially when it's free,
I did the same thing with Evolve, and I was 100% right on it, so my gut's usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, you can
Alright.
usually tell when something's just not going to be your style.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've
I
said
like...
in the past many times, I don't like shooters. Like, PlanetSide 2 is the only shooter I ever really got invested into. Aside from, like, GoldenEye, as long as no jackass played Oddjob. But,
Dude, no
it's not my
Oddjob.
style of
That's the
game.
rule set.
You give me a single player RPG, I'm in. I don't care if the game's horrible. I'm in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a multiplayer shooter, like, it's just not my thing.
Yeah,
It never has been,
after
never
I
will.
told you to play and you were like, no, I don't want to, I thought about it and I was like, I've never known Jake to really play a shooter. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And I dropped it.
So the thing with me is
yeah.
that I traditionally have never played shooters before either. But
Sure.
last year, I took a stab in the dark on Titanfall. I played the beta and really liked it.
Yeah.
And decided I was
fun.
going to jump in for the full thing. And I played so much Titanfall. It was one of my favorite games of last year. And I know it kind of fell off a cliff. There was, lack of weapons available, and the content wasn't super meaty. You kind of ran out of maps eventually and got quite repetitive. But from what I played, like, I fucking loved that game, and it's kind of got me like more excited to play Splatoon because I'm kind of into that ecosystem now.
The other reason that I'm not interested in Platoon is I don't, aside from Call of Duty, which gets a new game every year, the longevity in a multiplayer-based shooter is not there for the most part. Destiny died, Titanfall died, Evolve lasted, a week, and then it's just gone.
I would say that Destiny is still going pretty strong, though. The people that I kind of listen to a lot on Twitter and everything, and listen to podcasts, Destiny seems like it's been thriving pretty well.
I know
People
that
who
Destiny
like
also-
Destiny really like Destiny, and that's
That's the thing. They have a dedicated community, which is fine, and I know that a lot of people, my boss at work was just talking about this the other day, they're getting like an expansion coming out soon, or it just dropped, so that would help numbers as well.
Yeah, they've been getting a lot of extra content post-game.
But then you could use that same argument and say, World of Warcraft. When Warlords of Draenor launched, that thing had numbers from the glory days of WoW. So many people came to play it.
Yeah.
And then it died, and it's back to its core community. Mm-hmm. And if you're really invested in it, that's awesome. I mean, EVE's a great example of this as well. It's not a popular game, but it's got one of the best communities. It's just, I know I would never be in that community. PlanetSide, like I said, was the only game I got invested in because of just the way the game works. It's not this 5-minute deathmatch type thing. It is this giant, open, like all-out friggin' war.
Yeah.
And if you don't like where you are, you go to another world and you fight in a different region. It's so cool. Even that game I lost interest in.
I lost
it
interest
just
in
took
that
me a
one pretty
month
quick.
instead of a day.
I felt like that game had like a pretty high learning curve.
It did too, for sure. Yeah. Especially if you wanted to like take any vehicles.
Yeah.
But
which is all I want to do in every game that offers vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I suck at Battlefield 4. Like all I would do is like tank, go, tank, get in the tank. I drive like 5 feet and I'm dead. Every time.
Me, if Splatoon ends up getting like 6 months after it comes out, if it's this booming community and like all my friends are still really interested in it, I'll give it a try then. But it's not something that I have. Even if it's a free beta, it's just one of those things where do I want to dedicate the time to play it, especially as somebody who doesn't have a ton of time to game right now because I do work full time. I'd rather give that time to something I know that I will enjoy.
Right.
I'm invested in my backlog is friggin' massive as it is.
I think
now
that's the case for all of us, quite frankly.
And so I would rather just spend that time more efficiently by playing the things that I want to be playing, as opposed to giving something a flyer that if I don't like it and I only play like the 1 or 2 matches to give it a feeler, that's still the time it takes to download it, the time it takes to play it, and it's just like I could have been doing that with something that I really wanted to get back into.
Sure.
Like there's been a game that I started a few months ago called it's either the Legend of Heroes or the Legacy of Heroes. Trails in the Sky is the subsidiary of it. It was a PSP game ported onto the PC that I fell in love with. I think it's a great game, and I understand why they ported it to PC. I was blown away at the fact that a PSP game had like 30 hours of content in it. And it's a game I was like, I want to go back and finish this game, but I have no time. And so if I'm going to have an hour to play a game, I'd rather just play that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just like having a game that I can pick up and play, and I wasn't totally sold on Splatoon, but Emily's been really pushing for me to get it.
What are your thoughts on the control setup? Because they kind of force you... Well, first of all, they didn't force you, but I didn't notice the option to change your controls on the weapons menu.
It's the first thing I did.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I knew... Okay, because what happens is, in the beta test or whatever, what do they call it? What do they call the test?
The global test fire?
Yeah, the test fire. Yeah. So the first thing you do is you play like a tutorial level, which is good because you fucking need it for that game because it's very different.
Yeah.
But what they do is they force you in the tutorial level to use the gamepad as your motion, the camera motion, which feels awful always. Because
so you're forced to use this to play that game?
In the beta.
In the beta. Just
you can use the Pro Controller in the full game, yeah.
Okay, well, if I had to use this, that is just another reason for me to not play that game. It's one thing for me to play Mario Kart on this guy, but like I have to play Smash on this, and it fucking sucks.
Do you not have a Pro Controller then?
I don't like the Pro Controller. I ordered the GameCube adapter. I'm just waiting for it to arrive. It's just because I can actually use the gamepad as my justice. I don't like this. This should be down here.
Yeah.
You flip that down there, I have no problem with the Pro Controller. It's just unnatural to me, and it
is
just
the Pro Controller like that as well?
Yes. The only thing that changes is this. Like, this is gone. It's just a condensed version.
Oh, that's gross. Why didn't they just make it more standard?
I've used it in the past. I know a few people that really like the Pro Controller. It just feels awkward in my hands, and it's just having too many years of playing not just with a GameCube controller for Smash, but PS3 and PS1 controllers. Like, I've had a DualShock 2 since the original DualShock since they came out. Yeah. So having the second joystick below my face buttons, is natural, and it just felt weird to me. So that was why I never kind of adapted to the Pro Controller.
Well, it's not terrible in this game, so it feels okay. But once you get out of the tutorial and you can turn off the the gyro controls, I was fine with it. It just felt like a normal shooter. You don't really need the face buttons at all, just to jump, I think.
X is jump, I believe.
Yeah, there's like a jump button and I think another button like reset the camera, which you don't need when you're using the two sticks. So, I mean, all it was to jump, and like that didn't feel bad at all. So I mean, the controls were fine. It just felt like a normal shooter. It was fun, but I wasn't completely sold on it. It just doesn't seem like something that has a whole lot of longevity for me. But at the same time, Emily was like, you should get this game because you're gonna have a bunch of friends that get this game, and you're gonna hate being left out.
No, I thought it was really fun.
That's my thing. If my friends are still playing it a couple months after it comes out, then I'll think about making the purchase. But I don't want to spend full price on a game that my friends stopped playing after a week, a la Evolve. Like, I had friends who bought that game full price, and I just started laughing at them. Like, you guys just made a big mistake.
It's gonna be $30 in 2 weeks.
The thing with Splatoon is it's totally pitched as a shooter for people who don't like shooters, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you have perfect aim, because the main aim of the game isn't to kill everyone. It's just to splatter around your ink, get as much as you can, and it felt really weird, like, using the sniper, because it felt like so out of place. You weren't covering a huge amount of ground. It took like this charge time, and it felt like you weren't really contributing to the team goal, because you're not really getting stuff spread around, and kills don't help that much. So in that game mode, I mean, they probably have other game modes where it makes
I'm sure they do. The thing I didn't like about the sniper is it just didn't feel like a sniper.
No.
And I kept automatically, like, because I play shooters from time to time, I kept automatically hitting buttons that would normally, like, aim down sights.
Right.
Like, when I use that gun, I would be like, trigger. Oh, I can't in this game. Because because of that, it felt very weird. It had this kind of lock-on thing, which was nice, but at the same time, it just didn't... It felt way too slow. Like, you had to walk around with it charged up and then hope that someone stays still for just long enough to pull off your shot. And in that game mode, there's not a lot of that. You're constantly moving. So
especially when rollers are everywhere. Like, if you're a sniper versus a roller, say goodbye unless you're well far away. It's
the roller is basically a steamroller, and that's what it does.
Yeah,
it steamrolls you.
It's pretty broken. That was definitely my favorite weapon. The roller.
I had fun with that game, and the only reason I'm really hesitant about it is it's going to be a full price game, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Europe, it is actually a really decent price. I'm getting it for £30. I'm actually getting £2 off because I pre-ordered a Shulk amiibo, and then Amazon never sent it to me because, it's amiibo. So fucking whoever gets the amiibo they order ever.
Yeah.
I'm paying like 28 quid for it, which is around $45. So it's a pretty good price over here. But 60 seems a little much, I feel.
Yeah.
Can I just say, unless you live in Germany, fuck amiibos.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many pictures from these stores in Germany. It's just a whole wall of, like, every amiibo that's out. And you're like, there's some jackass selling a Rosalina for, like, $300 here. Like, I don't actually know if I wouldn't be surprised. Just the ridiculous markup on amiibos, which is the main reason that I just cannot get into them. If there was enough supply, maybe. But it was just the whole scalping thing, especially because I just got a Wii U, so it's not like I'm going to collect the amiibos just to have the statue.
Right.
The only one I bought was Mega Man. Because
Mega Man's a really nice figure. That's a really nice figure.
It's a good one. And it's just one of those things for me. It was like, if I was going to get one, that'd be it. But I don't want to have just them for the sake of having them.
Yeah. And
the fact that now, unless I'm really lucky or I want a really common one, I have to just pay out of my ass for it. It's just a huge turn away for me.
Sure.
It's
I can't get behind amiibos at all. Like, I just really like Mega Man. I liked the figure, and I went for it. And I think Emily bought me a Charizard one, and that will come when it comes. And I think that will probably be it for me.
If it comes ever.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part, at least here, if you pre-order at, say, an EB Games, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
because of the way it works, especially in my area, is they only send out enough for the pre-orders, and you don't get a guaranteed number of pre-orders based on where your store is. So for us, close to me, there are two EB games. There's one in Metro Town Center, which is the second biggest mall in Canada. So it's obviously one of the bigger and busier ones.
Yeah.
But the one that's probably equal distance at another mall ended up getting more pre-orders because people realized we're not going to stand in line at Metrotown when we can go to Brentwood Town Center and get the pre-order done. And they ended up actually getting more sent to the other one as opposed to the bigger location because they sold more. And the other thing was they actually had to make it so staff couldn't just take all the pre-orders. They basically got like X number for the entire region, and it was just like throw in a dollar bill at like a crowd of strippers, and it's just like see who ends up getting it. Basically, the way it worked out.
Yeah, I used to work at a GameStop for a very short time, and we could pre-order stuff, but we were limited always on what we could. Like it was always like one copy. You can pre-order one copy for yourself, and that's it.
See, from what I was hearing, that wasn't the case here until recently. It was just like, oh, you want to pre-order a dozen Shulk amiibos? Here you go.
That's insane.
And so, like by the time they actually hit the shelves, there were like none that went out to customers, which is why the company was like, yeah, fuck you guys. You just took all of our product.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to sell them instead of us selling them, so fuck you.
We had a, I forget what game it was, but it was a rare version of a game in the store. And we were not allowed to buy it unless we were going to keep it forever. Like, if they found out that you resold something that you bought for a cheap price, because they didn't have the, they have a thing now where they open new games that they have and resell them for the used price because that's a higher price. And that happens a lot. And that wasn't the case back then. So if you were caught reselling a game like that, like on eBay or whatever, you would just be straight up fired. And I guess times have changed a little bit. I have a friend that works in a GameStop now. When
I do too.
They have a store right next to where I used to work, and so she was in all the time, and I worked with her now fiance, and so we hung out a lot at between our stores, and I just feel so bad when it's pre-order day for amiibos because she goes through so much shit. Just so many people, many pre-orders.
I feel so bad for the people who are committed to the amiibo cause because they must just have the worst time. Just like the stress and the anxiety about getting because once you've started, you can't just stop. Like you need that collection, right? You know this. Collecting Super Nintendo NES games.
What it reminds me of is back in the day when Pokemon cards first hit the scene.
Yeah.
You had to go from store to store to store because you couldn't find packs. And those are just blind packs. So this is like a step above because you're looking for a very specific thing. So it's like it's pretty crazy.
Mike, let me one up you here.
Sure. Lay it on me.
Crazy Bones.
The fuck is that?
Did you guys not have... Oh, man. Crazy Bones were like this collectible thing that came out, like Pogs, basically.
Okay.
Very similar. And they were huge where I was growing up. And like there were some really big ones, there were little ones, and just like if you wanted one, you had to go find it. I was more into Pogs personally, but like the craze of like Crazy Bones where I grew up was very similar to what I'm seeing from Amiibo. Yeah, Crazy Bones. It's very similar to what I was seeing with the Amiibos, and it's just like holy crap, man! I understand people collect things as a collector, but like, damn, I won't spend unless I find it and I know I'm never going to find it again. I'm not going to spend a bunch of money. I'll take that chance and I'll look for it at like a flea market or somebody who doesn't understand what it is they have. Now, if all of a sudden I find like freaking the NES World Championship cards and I have 10 grand, like we'll give it to you for 10 grand. You don't pass that up.
Yeah.
But if you say fine, somebody wants Little Samson for like $500, you're like, no thanks. I'll take the risk because it's something while rare, you could come across it again, or at least you could find it. It's something you could always be like, okay, I'm not going to do this now. Maybe you can go back to it later, or you can pay that eBay price. or you can be like the Game Chasers and find it for $10 and shoot yourself in the face.
That's the shit right there.
Anyway, Splatoon.
Splatoon. So tell me, what do you think about Splatoon? I mean, you're obviously getting it. You pre-ordered it and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the thing with Splatoon is I like to support new IPs that Nintendo do because they do it so seldom, and I feel like if we don't commit to this and if we don't kind of show them the support that, hey, we like when you do new things and we like when you do fresh and inventive ideas and, don't lean on the old franchises. So I think just as a show of support, I'm excited for the game itself, but I think, it's going to be something that hopefully they'll continue doing going forward is try and come up with these new ideas like Splatoon. So
definitely. I just... Maybe if I can try it out after it comes out and see what kind of game modes they have and see if it's kind of like they got a good matchmaking system and maybe some good lobbies where game types rotate. And maybe then I'll consider it. It's just I feel uncomfortable paying $60 straight away for a game that I only played for an hour and I'm still not totally sold on. That being said, I had a lot of fun playing it. It was a lot of fun.
No, I think that the $60 price tag is probably... I think the problem is so many people got very excited about it in the US, so Nintendo probably thought, hey, we can probably ride this hype and charge full price for it, and people will just buy it on, brand awareness at this point in time.
They didn't count on a motherfucker like me.
No, they didn't. Clearly not. Clearly not. But I think absolutely if you buy it later down the line, you'll get a better experience because they'll have figured out the quirks if there are any online issues.
God, what if it's like the Master Chief Collection?
Oh God,
that's my biggest fear.
Let's not. Let's not. Because
that's still not good.
Last year, so the end of last year when that came out and Smash came out, I was like, Microsoft released an online game that is completely fucking broken, and Nintendo released one that actually kind of works. What world am I living in? Like, it was
seriously.
Crazy. So,
I mean, what can you say? I really like... I do not regret buying a Wii U at all. I regretted the Wii U, like, the week after I bought it. And as one of our good friends say, it's the best alarm clock he's ever had.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've since modded it and turned it into an emulation machine, but I like the Wii U, and they got a lot of good games for it right now, and Nintendo's doing really good stuff.
Yeah, they've got a good year ahead of them, I think. So
yeah. Do you got anything else to say about Splatoon?
Not really. I've played a couple of other things as well.
Yeah. Lay it on me, sir.
I've recently been... So since basically the saga with my graphics card is I was at uni for my exams, and I left my desktop at home over the holiday, and I came back and tried to turn on my PC, and it didn't. It just refused to turn on. It sat there, and I didn't hear like the beep of the motherboard when it usually does that to initiate the load.
Right.
So I was like, fuck. What's wrong with my PC? And as someone who doesn't know a huge amount about PCs, I kind of like, I hate when this happens because I have to look on message boards, and you always find that Yahoo Answers page, which is like one guy 6 years ago, and no one's replied to it. So
they're like, no, other people have this problem. Why is this not solved?
Right, like, come on, man, they must have figured this out.
Yeah.
But I think, luckily for me, I didn't build a PC myself. I ordered it from a company, PC Specialist in the UK. They're really, really good. And the great thing is that I can just ring up their customer support anytime I need to, and they'll just help me fix the problem. So they basically helped me solve the issue, which was that my graphics card was basically busted. So I had to remove that and send it off to them. I'm getting a new one tomorrow. But it's meant that I can't really dive into any big 3D games on my PC because the integrated graphics card isn't powerful enough to handle those. But I can play a lot of 2D stuff. I play a lot of 2D stuff anyway. So I've been playing a game called Phoenix Rage. It's kind of the pitch of it is it's Super Meat Boy meets Sonic meets Flappy Bird. You're kind of like this tiny little dude who goes around these masochistic platform levels, and like it's really, really difficult. But that's the kind of game I love. I'm a huge fan of Super Meat Boy. Like Super Meat Boy is probably my favorite platformer of all time. It's fucking incredible. And so I just gravitate towards those kind of games, and I wouldn't say this one's super special, but it's the sort of thing that like I like sticking on a podcast and just kind of going at it and just purely focusing on the platforming, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So that's a fun thing I've been playing. And I guess I didn't talk about this on my other podcast because I don't know. It's just I didn't feel like it was a good context because Bally knows fucking nothing about a lot of like third-party games. So
Sure.
if I were to talk about Saints Row the Third, I don't think he has the context to kind of like give me good dialogue back and forth about it. But I beat Saints Row the Third a couple of weeks ago.
I've never played a Saints Row game.
Dude,
Just on principle. Like, when it came out, I was like, this looks so stupid. Like, I didn't get it, and I recently found out that, no, these are actually pretty decent games.
they are just stupid and ridiculous in the best ways. Saints Row, like, for me, open world games, I don't generally go out and go after all the side quests and like everything. I didn't do that in Saints Row the Third, but the main missions in Saints Row are just, they're the most bonkers, hilarious, like, there's a mission where you play as a fucking toilet in a VR simulation. Like, what? It's amazing. It really is. And like,
My
it's
brother
just
lets my
moments like
nephew
that.
play that game.
Oh boy.
I need to have a talk.
You probably should. You probably should.
I think it was free for Xbox Gold recently, so I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
how he got it. And then I was like, oh, and I saw him playing it. I looked at my brother and I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure about this? Because
Yeah. Yeah, I would not recommend young children playing that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so much fun, and there are so many amazing sequences that kind of subvert expectations, and it's a lot of kind of fourth wall breaking and taking the piss out of kind of game stereotypes, which I
Sure.
like a lot. I think it's a cool way to make a video game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where they're going to really go with Saints Row at this point, though, because they've done, like, Saints Row the Fourth is, or Saints Row 4 is, like, you're a superhero and you can basically jump around buildings. At this point, it's, like,
They did Gat out of
really-
hell.
yeah, it's
Which
really
seems
gone away
interesting.
from itself to the point at which I don't know where they go next with it, but...
But that's the thing; they can literally do anything. So
yeah,
I mean,
like, it's so stupid at this point that nothing
Yeah.
is surprising anymore, kind of. But yeah, that game is awesome.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
I'm
like-
glad I got to finish it because what had happened was I started it back in 2013 when I first got my PC, and I was really enjoying it, but I hit a mission that seemed to have a game-breaking bug in it. And I just, every time I got right to the end of the mission, it would freeze. Like, it would just freeze on the spot. And the mission I was playing was also, like, really not very good. It was one of the worst missions in the game. So I was super turned off, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to just go through that again and again just to have the one off chance of maybe I'll finish it and the bug won't happen. But I came back to it, I reinstalled it, and they must have patched it or something because it worked fine, and it was able to finish it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
I guess that's what I've been playing, really.
Yeah.
I would bring up Chrono Trigger again as well, because Jake last time
Yeah.
on the Chrono Trigger train, I played that
tweeted
for the first
to
time.
him.
Oh, really?
I tweeted that to Mike when he was talking about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I should play Chrono Trigger. I'm like, click my picture that I have
Yeah.
it in real life.
It's Emily's favorite game of all time.
I completely understand why. There are
Yeah.
many people, including a podcast I listen to and have listened to for a long time. It's called Radio Free Nintendo, and the main host of that, Johnny Metz, always talks about Chrono Trigger. It's his favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
And this year is actually the 20th anniversary of Chrono Trigger,
Yeah.
which is why I was kind of feeling like, yeah, I should really play this, because so many people talk about it in reverential terms, like it's this like masterpiece, and like I can confirm that 100%. It is incredible, really. Like the way that it holds up to this day, it's so ahead of its time. It's so slick. Like there's no grinding needed at all. Like it's so well paced. The characters are so like really well varied, and we always talk about like lack of female characters in video games these days, and there's a lot of discourse happening about that in the current climate. There are 3 female playable characters. One of them is a female who has the highest attack stat in the game, like just completely bunking all these tropes, and it's just so fantastic on so many levels.
Yeah,
really
that's.
love
I'm so glad you brought that up because I have a great segue. But I wanted to take a 30-second break because I'm sure that next conversation we have is going to be very long, and I have
Yeah.
to pee very bad.
Well, so do I. So
All right,
take
so
this chance. Right.
let's take a 30-second break, and yeah, we'll be back with you in a second. All right, guys, welcome back. This is Yo Fizz with the Yo Gamecast crew. We got MBZ over there. We got Enigma Jake over there. And before the break, MBZ mentioned that about the diverse characters and how we don't get a lot of female representation in games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And some pretty big news hit today, I'd say.
Yeah.
Some life-changing news, maybe even.
May one might say that. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just a little bit of news.
Just
Yeah,
a
little bit of
just
news.
a little tiny morsel of news.
Yeah.
A game announced by this dude. What's his name? Give me his name.
Koji Igarashi.
That's the one.
He's
It's called.
just a dude.
He's
Yeah,
just a
as
guy.
he said. Commonly
Well-
known as Iga,
Yes.
which is his
A game announced via Kickstarter called Bloodstain: The Ritual of the Night. He is the dude behind Castlevania.
Yep, he is the godfather of the Vania series.
Yeah.
The teaser website, sorterwhip.com, has kind of been out for a little bit now. So it's not like this news just came out of nowhere. We all kind of expected this to be the kind of, especially with everything going on with Konami, because Koji Igarashi was originally a Konami guy. They were like, we're going to make you go into the mobile game department. And he's like, no, dog, fuck this shit. I'm out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as of right now, about 2.5 hours roughly since the Kickstarter dropped, they've now passed the goal they needed. They are at $582,000 US. So good news for any kind of Castlevania fans.
This makes
The
me
game will be
so
made.
happy. I'm so ecstatic about this announcement, and I've actually been following this really since before most people knew about it. If you know, there's a very popular gaming forum called NeoGAF, and I'm a member of that website. And I lurk in a lot of threads, and I always check out a lot of news that's happening. And actually, I just put up a video kind of chronicling the tale of how this Kickstarter was announced, and it's really interesting because there are accounts that posted on Castlevania fan forums giving clues about the moon rising and information happening. There was a Twitter account that was tweeting cryptically. So basically I was following this thing all the way through last weekend, and everyone was getting so stoked because we were kind of thinking that a Kickstarter was imminent, and turned out to be the case. So very, very glad that that happened.
Are either
I
you
didn't,
guys?
I didn't
gonna-
necessarily think a Kickstarter was going to happen, but I knew that the game was going to be announced.
Right.
The fact that it's a Kickstarter thing, it's sweet, especially if you look at it as an independent guy, as Koji Igarashi is. He is no longer bound by what Konami wants him to do.
Yeah.
This game is, from you can already tell just in the title, Symphony of the Night is probably going to be a big kind of comeback for this. And Symphony of the Night was just beautiful in every way. And if this game lives up,
text.
I love Castlevania. Even going back to the NES days, it's been one of my favorite series. The whole Metroidvania genre that kind of evolved out of it.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. If I had
Absolutely.
a PS4, I would have played Axiom Verge by now.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean it's coming out in 3 days on PC, so I'm looking forward
I
to
will
that.
buy it. I'll probably buy it my next weekend.
Right.
And then next show.
I mean,
that's what I'll
Ori
be
and the
talking
Blind
about.
Ori and the Blind Forest came out this year. That game is fucking incredible. It's my game of the year by far.
It looks
at this
beautiful.
point. It's incredible. It really is.
It's a game that I'll probably buy on sale at some point.
Yeah.
Because
That's what I'm waiting
absolutely
for.
you should.
I'm a plebe and I
Absolutely.
don't pay full price for games, but I also don't
Absolutely.
pirate them anymore.
Yeah.
Not just a moral reason. It's just one of those things where half the time they don't work for me, and the other half of the time it's I know it's gonna go on sale anyway, so why don't I just wait?
It's so cheap on Steam, and Gabe Newell talked about this, back when Steam was being successful. Is piracy on PC is a service problem, and Steam gets through that by being such a convenient to use, easy to use service with prices that are so cheap that it's not really worth going out of your way to pirate stuff. So absolutely.
Yeah, between
That's good.
Yeah, man, you gotta get
Steam,
key gens. You gotta get. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
gotta
a pain in the
cracks.
ass.
Cracks
The
and
only
key
the only
gens.
time I ever pirated a game was in the last probably almost 10 years now. Was older games that I couldn't find, and now there's GOG.com, so I don't have that problem. And actually, GOG does the GOG Galaxy, I think they called it now. It's basically their version of Steam, which is pretty cool. But any game that I have pirated in the last 5 years, I bought afterwards, just because if I pirated it, like, I don't want to seem like I'm on some moral high horse or anything like that. If I enjoyed the game, I bought it.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't want to use it as a demo, so I only pirated a game that I was very interested in, and I wanted confirmation that I was going to buy it. And the only game I can think of in the last 5 years that I did pirate was The Witcher 2, and I immediately went out and purchased it, and I purchased it for full price. And then I didn't play it until the kind of enhanced edition came out, because it gave all the
right,
extra
because they had a
tools.
new combat system, right, and everything. So, yeah, I mean, this timing for this Kickstarter could not be any more perfect. Konami are getting raked through the coals right now.
Yeah,
The shit they are pulling has been fucking insane. In fact,
It's their own fault.
I mean, totally. And they're clearly just saying fuck you to traditional video games and, leaving the market at this point in time. Like, that's really obvious. In fact, today, Super Bunny Hop, who made a excellent video on the Konami Kojima situation, just got a copyright strike and got his video taken down by Konami.
Of course
So, I mean, you can just see where they're standing in public opinion right now, and I feel like there are going to be a lot of people who don't necessarily have too much interest in this game, but will throw $5 Igarashi's way just to say fuck you to Konami. So I'm sure that'll help him a little bit, if nothing else.
Are you guys?
I don't think he needs the
pledge?
$5 to the people who are. Am I going to pledge?
Yeah.
Probably not, only because I can't.
Fair.
I've already given my money for the digital version. I'm all in on this, absolutely.
If I had the means to, because currently right now I don't have a bank account.
Well, that's yeah.
I have
problem.
I have to go into the bank today and be like, look, this comes from your bank. Can you just cash it for me and just hope things work out?
Yeah.
If I had the means to, I would have thrown down money already. I made a joke to MPZ earlier. I'm like, hey, Nubs, give me your YouTube money. I need 10 grand to go to Japan and have an adventure. But
I really only want 3K to make my little baby girl dog into a baby dog demon.
That's such a cool reward tier. I just thought that was hilarious. That's awesome.
I want it so much. Theoretically, I could do it.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I do have 3 grand that I could
But
give
theoretically,
to
is it really worth your 3 grand as a guy who I know is trying to move out?
Maybe. It's my
Hey,
baby
Emily,
girl.
remember the time we were gonna get an apartment? Yeah, we can't do that, but
Think she would
baby
understand.
girl's in Ritual of the Night, so
Maybe if I spend 6K, I get her dog in it too.
Ooh.
Our baby
I like
girls
it.
together.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But what if they put them in some like virtual like demon dog pit and like you suddenly become a virtual Michael Vick?
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Anyways,
but what I will say is I'm still blown away that Konami is doing that. Like, you had 2 of the most influential guys in video gaming,
Yeah.
and you shoved them out the door? Like,
Yep.
what?
Yeah. Hideo Kojima is Konami's loss. That man will have zero problem finding a studio to work at.
Oh, absolutely.
People are going to fall over themselves to give him money to make a game. So he is fine. He will do just fine, and I'm very excited to see what he does next. But I'm so glad that Igarashi, because we're hearing over the last year that he was having trouble trying to get this game published, and he was talking very openly about how he went to publishers, and publishers said, sorry, buddy, we can't fund this game because people aren't going to buy it. And even in the Kickstarter video, he mentioned, publishers told me that this wasn't going to be a game. I said, fuck you, basically. Throws the wine glass down.
It is the best Kickstarter video I've ever seen.
Oh,
It's
it's so
amazing.
good. It's
Fucking
so good.
amazing. Really,
But,
really good.
I mean, I can't even say I understand where they're coming from in the whole this is dead genre kind of argument. There are a lot of indie games that use the Metroidvania style, and they're very successful. Axiom Verge, you mentioned Ori and the Blind Forest.
The thing is, it's not like a
Guacamelee.
sexy. It's not like a sexy game type that they know is gonna hit mass production and hit a lot of like more casual game players.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
and that's what they're really.
I'm going to use the Melee argument here. Why are you catering towards the casual gamer if you know the hardcore fans are going to like this? Generated over $500,000 in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is a game people wanted. Going back into the argument of Metroidvania style games, we had Rogue Legacy that came out not too long ago, a fantastic game that had a lot of success.
Amazing.
There was a game called Valda Story Abyssal City, another Metroidvania style game that had a lot of success. Like there are a ton of indie games that followed that formula and they have done very well for themselves. So why would you just assume that people don't want it?
I mean, that's the best thing.
If you're going to base that just simply be like, I was a guy who actually really enjoyed Castlevania Lord of Sorrow. Lord of Sorrow was what it was. Lord of Shadow, that was it. I enjoyed that game. It wasn't Symphony of the Night or that style of game. And if that's your argument that this style isn't going to work because the game that wasn't that style wasn't the huge success you wanted it to be, is that really the art? It's not because it's a Castlevania game that it's
so illogical.
It was just I don't know, man. It's give me Ritual of the Night. I'll play the crap out of it. And you know who else is going to play the crap out of it? Speedrunners, man. I want this game at ADHQ. That's what I want.
Yes, absolutely. And, they are, in fact, they're live streaming right now for like 8 hours, and they're having speedrunners on, and people are, they were talking about how any game in this style is one of the best kind of speedrunning games that you can do, because there are so many ways to kind of break progression and like sequence break, and Super Metroid is one of the most speedrun games of all time because of that fact, because of the way that it's designed, that you can get through it in multiple different ways, and it's so interesting to go back and look at it in that sense. So
I think I'll probably definitely be backing this, and I might do the $60 option just because I want a sword whip.
Oh boy!
If I would do it, I kind of want to do that as well.
I'll probably.
I did on Twitter see a lot of people kind of holding off for a bit, and their argument was Mighty Number 9, which is a very valid argument. Mm-hmm. It's just because, I mean, to be fair, we've seen one concept screenshot, like it's not in-game engine or anything like that, and so it's just like, okay, well, when's this game going to be made? Like, how really is it going to come about? Like, obviously, a guy like Koji Igarashi is not going to just be like, cool, guys, I just made $1 million. Let's just take our sweet-ass time with this. Like, he wants to make this game. You can tell that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
you don't make a video like that and just be like, fuck it.
I mean, if you do, that is levels of swag that is just...
I mean, then I can appreciate that. Have my $60 anyways.
Yeah. I'll give you $60 just to make another video like that. Let's go.
I think maybe one of the problems with the price tiering at the moment is I think $28 seems pretty high. We just saw Yooka-laylee. We saw Yooka-laylee come out, and I don't know what. I think the console version was 24, and then it was like 16 or so for the PC. And that game seems, it seems like it's going to be a little bit bigger in scope just because it's 3D, and it's like. Those games seem like they probably take a lot more resources to make than your standard kind of side-scroller. So I think maybe some people will hold off because there's nothing between $5 and $28. It's, there's, that tier is not available, so.
I mean, I can understand it, kind of the whole, hey, I'll put this at $28, simply because when you think about it, for the most part, a brand new, even an indie game, $25-$30 is not that uncommon depending on the level of content that he has in it. And
Right.
obviously he's going to be hitting some of his stretch goals that will have their playable characters, difficulty modes.
Yeah.
They want to give the biggest fuck you I've ever seen to a developer ever. And they want to get David Hayter in on this shit.
Oh
And
my god, that was the best thing. That is the best thing about
that
this.
was the single
fact that they
greatest thing I saw on that stretch goal. I'm just
Ugh.
like, this is another reason why I want $10,000 to give to you, because I want to see you get David Hayter as the voice actor for this. Let's just get everybody that's been screwed over by Konami in it on this.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good times.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and I think the $28 price point is gonna be something that's, I think that you just kind of get where he's coming from, and you know that what this is gonna be for the most part, and so
Yeah, if he's got the price in mind that this game on release is going to be $30, I have no problem paying $28 for the digital
Yeah.
version or $60 for the physical one. Because
Really, it
let's be
didn't
honest,
matter what the price was for me. I was in on this regardless. I'm,
Right.
I am 100% behind him, so not a big deal.
yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat, and
Yeah.
I'm stoked for it. Like I said, Metroidvania style games. I'm buying Super Metroid in like an hour and 15 minutes. Like I'm
Yeah.
all in on this shit.
yeah.
But I was so stoked. Like I wasn't actually expecting things to drop today, and it just happened at like the perfect time.
Right.
See, I
And it gave us
just-
something to talk about today. It was just
Yeah,
it
it
was the
did.
stars
Because
aligning.
we had a bunch of crap lined up, but like I'm
Yeah.
so glad. I mean, we didn't even need this. We could have skipped everything and like just the conversations we had going so far. I mean, we've been talking a lot, and it's been such a good program today. But I mean,
what do you guys think about? Sorry, I was just going to say, what do you guys think about this trend of developers going back and reviving these old genres that people clearly love but aren't being represented anymore? We saw obviously Mighty Number 9, Yooka-Laylee, and now with this game.
I love it.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I really do, because I mean, like I said, like these versions or styles of games aren't like a sexy choice for developers to make anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a fan base, yeah, but like it's not. I feel like for them, purely monetarily, it's just not a big enough fan base for them to really give a shit. And this is a good way where those people, those fan bases, can really get pandered to and get the content that they want out of something.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, it's an eye opener. It says, "Oh, look, there's a market here we didn't think there was."
Yeah,
And then all of a
that's it.
sudden we can go back to building these kind of games, and it's not these big budget kind of movie, but like
movie shooters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Movie shooters. I'm more excited about these than most new releases.
Oh, absolutely.
With
Yeah.
few
I
exceptions.
really think the AAA market right now is at the most dull and kind of predictable that it's ever been. And
Yeah, there are very few exceptions to the rule, and for the most part, I know a lot of my friends have gone towards, hey, let's just play indie games because they're better kind of train.
yeah.
I'm so close to just being on that, and if it wasn't for a select few games that are coming out that are like, let's be honest, I will buy a PS4 for Bloodborne and Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, I will buy it and only have those two games. That is a
Yeah.
great purchase for me.
Totally. I considered
I mean,
it at one point, and just like I'm
If
I'm
gonna
gonna
it was
do
not
it
those
for-
two games,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it for Persona 5 and for Uncharted. And that'll probably be the two games I run.
Uncharted's on there.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you guys earlier, Persona, not one of my big, like, I've given it a chance. People are like,
Mhm.
why don't you like Persona? It's totally your style game. Like, look, man, I don't know. I just don't like it. Okay, deal with it. I don't
Fair
like
enough.
Fallout either. Get off my back.
I'm
I-
gonna give it a shot for Lloyd. It doesn't seem like my type of game, but I mean, I
So,
trust Lloyd. Like, we usually have similar tastes in things, so.
I played Persona 4 Golden for the first time this year, and it is now one of my favorite games I've ever played. I love it. Absolutely love it. And so
I
I'm
think that's on the list
super
on text.
excited for... Yeah. So I'm super
But,
excited for Persona
to
5.
go back to the question you had just asked about, is it something that I enjoy to see these kind of Kickstarters and these projects to come out? The answer is yes, and the reason for that is how many companies have started doing HD re-releases? How many times have we been told, when are they going to bring out Final Fantasy VII HD? My counter argument is Final Fantasy VI is a better game. If it's gonna get, we're gonna get HD. I want that, but I don't want Final Fantasy VII HD to ever come out unless they can make me a better Final Fantasy game first.
Yeah.
If Final Fantasy 15 breaks the trend of shitty Final Fantasy games, I will be stoked. But I don't want a company, whether it's Square Enix or even if they just go off and make their own Kickstarter, to do something along the same lines. I would rather have something new and fresh, even if it's an old idea, as opposed to let's pretty up something old because
We need to make
it's better than anything we've made in the
Yeah.
past decade.
Yeah,
That's my reasoning.
Something I'm really surprised about is the fact that we haven't had more 16-bit style RPGs from indie developers, because I feel like there's so many platformers, there's so many Metroidvania style games. Where are the kind of 16-bit style Final Fantasy, RPG influenced games?
There's a ton, dude.
I don't know, I haven't seen many of them, so I don't know, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places.
Yeah, I know there's a lot, and one big thing we're seeing a lot of, especially on PC, is ports of PSP games. PSP is probably the biggest one that I've seen, and probably a big reasoning for that is because if you like to play waifu-filled Japanese RPGs, the PSP and the PS Vita are your consoles, man. Like every day, there seems to be a dozen new amazing JRPGs that come out on those consoles. And like I said, there's Trails in the Sky, a game that I started and really want to go back to. I beat, maybe it's the prologue, maybe it's like the first chapter. Like it's just the very first part of the game. It's like 4 hours. It's like going through Kingdom Hearts 2's like opening sequence with Roxas. It's like solid amount of gameplay, and unlike Roxas, I was never kind of felt like it started to drag on. But I'm fine with porting games from like things that we haven't seen. Type 0 was an example of a Final Fantasy game that got that treatment as well.
It was also used as a marketing thing to just get the demo out there, and probably sold way better than it would have done because of that. But
it's possible. I do know that it was a very highly acclaimed game on the PSP or whichever one it was on. I don't actually know the origins.
I believe it was a PSP game. It was a PSP game.
And I do know that it had a lot of acclaim, which is the original reason they did. I mean, kudos for them to realize, hey, if we put a Final Fantasy 15 demo on this, it's going to sell a shit ton more. Let's be honest, that's a decision that I probably would have made myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm okay with that. It's not the best thing for me. I mean, it's great that you're getting a lot of these great games that people just never got a chance to play. I mean, if you want to talk about games that have huge backings, look at the Yi series, man. Like, those things exploded on Steam. I've never seen so many overwhelmingly positive reviews from a series that I had never even heard of. And like, I was stoked. I got to play a couple of them. They're great.
People love Ys, man.
They do. And to see that, and I've put that under the same kind of style as these Kickstarters for Yooka-Laylee or Ritual of the Night, things like that, where this is a style of game that we know people want. Let's give it to them in a way that we can. And then, of course, Kickstarter is that medium that they can give it to us now. I love the idea. Give me these over HD remakes any day of the week. Unless it's Final Fantasy VI, in which case I'm sold. Just take everything.
Yeah.
See, the only reason I want a Final Fantasy VII remake is because I can't fucking go back to that PS1 game. I just feel like...
Look, I perfectly agree. It does not age well at all.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that Final Fantasy VI has over it, because it was in that goal. Like, if you think about it, there are plenty of these 16, 32-bit style visual games that have come out in the indie. Let's relive the golden age kind of days of RPGs. Ain't nobody making no PS1 Polygon remakes. Like, nobody wants to look at that. But even comparatively, you look at Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy, like, visually, you don't have a problem looking up. Like, they still hold up.
Yeah.
They look beautiful. They look fantastic still to this day. So that is absolutely a reason why I have no problem going and playing Final Fantasy VI today. But if it was 7, I'd be like,
I probably like 2 or 3 years ago now, at least. The PlayStation Store did a sale on Final Fantasy games, and I bought 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
And I think I played through 6 a dozen times since then, and I tried to go through 7. I love 7. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just, it ages worse than, like, almost any game, man. I'd rather, like, even the N64, which has some really crappy aged games.
Yeah.
Like, you can go back and play them. This is just cancer to look at.
Yeah, I think N64's problem was the frame rate was god-awful. Jesus Christ. Yeah. That was a huge issue there. I mean, like, I beat Ocarina of Time recently. That's another thing that I've played.
Did you the 3DS version, or did
right,
you...
the 3DS version. So basically, Ocarina of Time is really weird because over my life, I've had so many encounters with it and, like, playing it at friends' houses and everything. I never owned an N64, so I basically played it at one of my friends' places. We never got past Young Link. We never even got to Adult Link. And then basically on the Virtual Console, day one, as soon as it came out, I bought it there. I bought the 3DS version when it came out in 2011, and I just never beat the game. I just never got there.
I did the same exact thing. Like, I bought it when it came out, and, like, I played it for a while, and then I set it down for something else, or I just stopped playing for whatever reason. And I picked it back up, and I was all, I have no idea what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like anything got done, but I know I did stuff.
But I have a friend who we lent him Ocarina of Time on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And he's a horrible friggin' gamer in the sense that, like, he will never finish anything. And he doesn't like anything that he can't beat easily. Like, he has to play through Fire Emblem on easy mode. Yeah. It's so bad to see. Like, for me, I play Fire Emblem on the hardest difficulty, and it sucks that I have to unlock it half the time. But it's just... I understand it if you're a casual gamer.
Yeah.
I could never do it because, gaming has been such a big part of me. But just because MBZ mentioned that he has never owned an N64,
yeah,
I've got this one here. I got red and white. I have a red and white version.
Very nice. That's cool.
But
how many N64? Do you have like 6 N64s you're gonna trot out now?
I have this one.
Oh my god!
I have a complete in box blue and white N64 that still has the bubble wrap and all of its manuals.
That's actually really beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I will say this: the controller on the red one is way better. Like, this is still brand new. Like, it doesn't feel like anyone touched it. The blue one, you can tell it was used for, like, Mario Party. The joystick is still a little loose. But, yeah, I just really, really wanted to just, like, show off my penis to MBZ a little bit, but, like, throwing those in his face.
Sure. Just throw your penis in
those
his face.
Those are the only 2 I have. I do have to build them all. I am aiming to get, I believe there's 16 different versions total.
Jesus Christ.
And I do want to get all of them.
Wow.
I would settle for one at this point. I used to have a purple one, and I regret not having it anymore all the time.
Yeah, it was part of the, I forget what it was called. It was like the Funko Color Series or whatever. There was the purple one. There was the green one that eventually got released with Donkey Kong 64. There was an orange one. There's actually the one I really want. There's an orange and black one, and I think it was a European exclusive.
Ooh, that sounds sick.
And it's like...
MBZ, get me that!
It's Dutch colors, man. I need this in my life.
Give me money.
It's pretty expensive. It's probably like $300 without a box right now.
My birthday's coming up in 7 months. Just go ahead.
7 months. Hey, my birthday's coming up next month. In fact, almost in exactly 1 month. So,
well, get your Steam wish list ready.
Actually, do I have a Steam wish list?
Dude, my Steam wish list is so large. I'm just waiting for one of my friends to get rich.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, a lot of my wish list, I think, was like from the winter sale, like not this past year, but the year before. It was like, add 10 things to your wish list, and we'll like, you got an achievement for it.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, I've been quite fortunate actually. A couple of people have bought me stuff from my wish list and really surprised the hell out of me. Like around Christmas last year, someone bought me Shadow of Mordor, and I was like, "Whoa, holy crap!"
Oh, nice.
Really nice.
That's probably on my wish list, but
it's on mine.
So 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 Ocarina of Time, anyway. I beat it on 3DS, and it's so nice to play on that system. It looks way better. The frame rate isn't 15. It actually kind of it's not 60, but it runs at a solid 30, and I can deal with that on a 3DS.
Well, you're not gonna get a 60 FPS game on a handheld very often.
Yeah, aside from Smash Brothers, which is kind of the exception to the rule. So, you know.
Look, man,
yeah, no.
Smash 3DS has so many problems. Like, give me my proper stages, although for the most part, there are a couple on the 3DS that I'm like, why aren't they on the Wii U version? Like, why isn't Yoshi's Island on the Wii U version?
There are some great 3DS stages. Yeah.
But,
I'm not playing Smash competitively until they give me Kirby back. I want that stage is the best.
Which
With
one?
the trees, the blowy trees.
Dreamland is fantastic,
yes.
but Fountain of Dreams is also amazing.
I just like
either
the
of
music.
those made it onto the Wii U, I would buy that DLC for sure.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
I'll learn
surprised
how to
if
play
it-
competitively if I can have Dreamland.
I wouldn't be surprised if stage DLC got announced at E3. And,
Yeah. Oh, for
that
sure.
comes
I'm fine with, especially if they actually cater the stage DLC towards like the competitive gamers. It's not like, oh look, we put one good stage in this pack of 3 stages,
Yeah.
and we did that with 3 different sets of stages. Like, god damn it. Because I'll buy them all, especially if like some of those
Yeah.
stages become tournament legal. But it's like, give me like the competitive Smash with Fountain of Dreams, Dreamland, maybe yours. Like, I'm fine with that, but don't spread out good stages and make me pay more money than I really want to pay. Also, bring back Poke Flutes.
Great stage.
That stage was tournament legal in like 2004. It was amazing.
That's crazy. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and nowadays we're like, why did we do that? But
Yeah, it seems crazy.
any stage that was constant in the way things worked generally kind of kept it in. It's not like you didn't know what was going to come. What's it called? Orbital Salt, whatever it is on the Wii U version.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We accidentally picked this in a friendly doubles game a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Nice.
And all of us were like, what the fuck is going on? But we were just like, we're just going to play this out. We don't want to cancel this game. It was just, it was entertaining, but
So
it was
insanity. That stage is pure insanity. Jesus
all of a
Christ.
sudden you're just like falling and you're like, where am
Yeah.
I going? You land on something and then like half the map starts exploding and then you die and you're like, look man, I don't even know. But that was
You're in a
fun.
space battle. You're in a Star Fox space
yeah.
battle.
You'll play that one with items on. Go ham.
Oh boy, yeah. That's the craziness.
Oh man.
Gosh.
So, it has been quite a show. Do you guys want to add anything in before we wrap it up?
I don't know. I'm really looking forward to that Kickstarter, and
Yes,
I hope
absolutely.
it continues to do well. I'm going to spend most of tomorrow watching the Twitch archive of that live stream because I really want to see, Igarashi with Tom Happ, who's the guy behind Axiom Verge. They're going to be coming on there, and they're going to play Ori in the Blind
Verge
Forest.
is they said it on Twitter. I think they said it's at 6 o'clock Pacific.
Oh, it might
It's
actually.
even on the
still,
it's even on the Kickstarter too.
I might be able to still catch it then. That's
So
cool.
yeah, it's
I
in
think
3
about
hours.
3 hours,
You
yeah.
got time.
Assuming that I have the timeline right.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the Kickstarter page too, and I'm looking at it. So
Oh, it says that it's at 6 o'clock.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
then you go. It's in 3 hours, so
Yeah.
you should still be awake when it comes on.
Excellent.
yeah.
That's
Tomorrow
Also,
I will.
Tom Happ is a genius, and just
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Tomorrow
when
I will be doing a game test at 2K. So next week.
Oh, very
maybe,
exciting.
Maybe
Hey,
I'll talk about that.
Are you under NDA? Can you say what you're playing?
I don't know. I don't even know what I'm playing yet. So
You're gonna have-
Okay, so what's in
there-
that?
So I mean, we might show up and maybe have to sign something, and maybe we will be.
There's a good chance of it. For the most part, like EA does playtest all the time here. And I would imagine if I got in, because the only one I really ever sign up for is the Battlefront one.
Right.
If I got into it, I have a feeling they'd be like, sign this paper, and if you say anything, we're going to sue you, straight up EA style. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I'm sure I'll tweet about it on my Twitter below my face. Boop. But as for that, last words. Nothing. We good?
You can
Okay.
Follow me on the Twitter at LordMZ.
Yeah, you can follow me.
Listen to my other podcast, This Nintendo Life. It's on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you find podcasts.
Fantastic.
It's there.
This show will also be on SoundCloud. You can find the first episode either on my YouTube in the bottom right corner over that way, or nope, that way I was right the first time, or you can find it on SoundCloud. I tweet about it all the time because I adore this project, and I adore it even more with the lovely MBZ aboard. Although I didn't need you, but I wanted you so bad.
Gotta have it.
So
Look, I'm just saying, I missed the Altaria on his head.
Yeah, well,
It's coming.
we
I've got
can't have them all.
I've got a long summer ahead of me, so
Yeah.
don't worry about that.
we can't win them all. And the lower left over here, we got an email set up. So if you want to send in a viewer question, you can tweet at any of us. I'm sure. Leave a comment on the YouTube VOD, which will be on my channel, or send that email and let us know what you think. If there's anything you guys want us to talk about, or if you just have a question about us about anything in the world, we'll get to it. Follow us on Twitter so you can see our call signs below. And I think with that, we will say so long, everyone. It's been a pleasure. This has been Yo Gamecast, and you guys have been thoroughly entertained, I'm sure.
No, this has been Yo Gamecast.
There it is.